Spencer Turnbull over 15.5 outs. This is available at plus 120 on DraftKings Sportsbook. First pitch in Cincinnati today is at 6:40 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's jump right into this one. Starting at the bottom left, you can see where we grabbed this price over on DraftKings at plus 120. Pictured in the bottom middle, you can see Turnbull, who was drafted by Detroit. Turnbull is with the Phillies now and doesn't have a ton of data. He's only thrown 11 games as a starter. As you can see in the bottom right, the wind is blowing out mostly to center right field, around 10 miles an hour, and it's going to be about 61 degrees there for first pitch. I don't think the weather at Great American Ballpark is particularly batter or pitcher friendly here. Turnbull has a 6-pitch arsenal with a lot of breaking stuff. Turnbull uses 2 fastball variations, which are his 4-seamer and his sinker. Turnbull really likes his sweeper, which he throws about 30% of the time. He also keeps a curveball, a changeup, and a slider in his rotation, but throws them a little less than 10% of the time. As we see in the top right, Turnbull's not blowing anybody away with his fastball velo. Turnbull has been starting the season with a lot of nice K stuff, but I like his outs today as a pivot, and let me explain why. Starting in the top left here, we can see that Turnbull has gone over this line twice and under it 2 other times. Moving to the right, we can see a steady increase in his pitch count, which is great because pitchers are typically limited to fewer pitchers at the beginning of the season, but should be stretching their arm out to a full rotational start at this point in the year. Moving to the bottom left, we can see outs versus batters faced. Batters faced is the light gray. Outs recorded is the dark gray. My interpretation of this is that Turnbull had a short outing versus Cincinnati in his first start of the season to make sure that his arm was right and staying fresh for the whole year. And then Philadelphia kind of took the shackles off of him and let him start throwing more. But it appears that he got hit around quite a bit versus Pittsburgh. Moving to the bottom right, we can also see that he let up 4 walks versus Pittsburgh, which is always going to eat into your pitch count and limit how much your manager is going to give you a leash. So why Turnbull outs today? Well, there's a couple of good reasons. One is you can see on this top graphic, base on balls percentage. Cincinnati has been taking a few less walks this season and has been more strikeout prone. The batters just aren't seeing the ball particularly well and they're swinging away. We see that base on balls percentage correlates well with the top line, which is WRC plus. WRC plus is a fancy way of saying walks turned into runs created. So that correlation is reliable. We see base on balls down, and we see the rank against walks and runs created go up. We are also seeing here with OBP on the second line that Cincinnati is just having a lot less runners on base to start the season this year. OBP obviously stands for on base percentage. And the final line is ground balls versus fly balls. Ground balls produce higher chances of advancing runners, whereas fly balls have a limited opportunity to advance runners. So we also like to see that Cincinnati is hitting more fly balls to start this season. Another reason I like Spencer Turnbull today specifically is you can see in the second graphic that Philadelphia had to go their pen early yesterday as Sanchez was only able to go 3 innings, needing 4 guys to come out of the pen. Before we move on, I do think it's important to note that Philly played the White Sox and their starting pitching went super deep. So I wouldn't say the pen is particularly taxed, but the Phillies are definitely going to want to see Turnbull get through at least 5 full and hopefully 6 after throwing 4 pen arms yesterday. As I mentioned earlier, there is a limited data set on Turnbull. These are all of his MLB starts. When looking at this year's last 4 games versus years prior, I'm starting to see that when Turnbull is pitching well, he's seeing much less batters faced. The other correlation I think that is important here is how many walks he's giving up in games where he's not meeting his over outs. I'm seeing a little bit of correlation here with a high amount of walks equaling a low amount of innings pitched, which makes perfect baseball sense. Despite the limited data set from last season, Turnbull has been throwing well to start the year for the Phillies. I know his last data point is against the trash-ass White Sox, but Turnbull kept a no-hitter going into the 7th inning of that match. And with yesterday's starter only finishing 3 innings, I think Turnbull will look to pick up some of the workload here, trying to give the bullpen a little bit of a break. And that's why today's MLB play of the day is Spencer Turnbull over 15.5 outs. Once again, this is available at plus 120 over on DraftKings. And first pitch today is at 6:40 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope these videos continue to help. You can find links to all the free research tools I use down here below, as well as links to my additional content. Please be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Best of luck. I hope to see you at the window. That's it. Oaks out. Deuces.